Hey, deserving listeners, Vanderpump Rules. Let's watch.
Honestly, yeah.
Oh,
you were. Subconsciously, whatever. But listen, you guys, I'm not a fucking idiot. You told me that day, I think it was the 31st, and I know because we went and got drunk in your hot tub afterwards. Oh, it was like I had a one-night stand with Raquel.
Oh,
and
my God.
It was like, holy what have I done? Never again. Mistake, alcohol, the whole spiel people do when they have a one-night.
Okay, so it's context. It doesn't really change much, but it's some detail. And I believe that would be a typical thing. And given the pattern that at least Tom claims that post having sex that first time, they, didn't immediately engage in a relationship after that. So that was him being worried or concerned, Tom Sandoval, about what had happened. It's like, oh my God, I was drunk. And that is a thing. Infidelity and alcohol are often associated with each other. Even the beginning of infidelity can be spurred by alcohol, right?
Stand. And then after that, things kind of went back to normal.
Was this conversation before glamping? He told you before we went glamping?
Yeah. Raquel has a type.
I don't know all the details. Maybe y'all can sift through what's being said, but I said this before, that with Schwartz, there's evidence that he is obscuring the amount of obscuring that he was doing in the past, which would be consistent with other obscuring that he had done, not only by cheating himself, but also by covering for Tom Sandoval. So the best thing I think that Sandoval could have said is, I've already role-played this, but in a nutshell, him coming forward and saying, look, I have to apologize to you, Ariana, and to others, because I lied by omission. I did want Sandoval to tell you, and I did tell him to tell you, but I sat on this a long time, and I should have told you earlier, or I should have given Sandoval an ultimatum. It was a very difficult situation for me, but it doesn't excuse that I didn't take action. I just avoided the whole thing, and that was wrong of me, and I'm sorry. Does that mean Schwartz should feel as bad as Tom Sandoval or be vilified or judged? No, but he should pretty sure that apology is justified because that transgression did happen because of what Schwartz did. And him not saying that and also trying to piece things together, and maybe that's coming, but I'm pretty sure he should be saying something like that.
Men that are taken.
Without a doubt about it, throughout the fall, leading up to the new year, they spent an inappropriate amount of time together. Fuck yeah, they did.
Sandoval, why were you encouraging Schwartz to make out with Raquel
if you two had already had sex?
Because
was that a decoy or a smokescreen?
Absolutely not.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, that would be the accusation, is that it's all part of Sandoval's grand scheme. He's this evil genius that's he's a puppet master, and, it's possible. Or downgrade from that of, he's a very terrible puppet master, and he was there's a possibility that for Sandoval, there was a part of him that did have a connection with Raquel and wanted to be with her, but also might have wanted some reason to not have to worry about that, to not have to worry about the temptation, or maybe even just concern for Raquel and Schwartz of just like, well, maybe they'd make a good couple. All those things can exist within one person.
No,
Yeah, but it's macabre, it's perverse to encourage your best friend to make out with somebody that you've just slept with.
I don't think so.
I think it was a great excuse for Sandoval and Raquel to be able to hide what they were doing, because it's like, don't look over here, look over here.
Right, and that could be, and that might have been another reason. Yeah.
When Jax and Kristen, when that stuff came out, why didn't you guys break up then? And he said some things to me back then that were along the lines of, well, her grandpa died, and then we had tickets to this.
Okay, well, that's interesting and makes sense. People without good therapy will tend to do things in the future that they have done in the past. Not always, of course, and not in specifics. Like if you cheated once, not necessarily that you would cheat again, but the things that led up to the cheating without significant long-term good therapy and meaningfully engaging in that good therapy, then there's a high likelihood that those factors are still there and will affect behavior moving into the future. So we're hearing for Tom Sandoval that it's very specific, and yeah, and that fits within my main hypothesis that for him, that's how he sees the world. He is terrified of facing the music because of abuse that he went through when he was young. And he just had, actually more specifically, given this, I can't believe I didn't think about this before, that specifically the abuse or the circumstance of his early childhood was that he had a parent that was struggling with something, health-wise or mental illness. And his rights or his freedom to get his needs met and maybe to speak up was actively hindered by one of his parents or a caregiver going through something, depression or a health problem, chronic health problem, or financial stress or something. And, he's 4 and he feels like he's not getting attention like 4-year-olds will. And so he starts to get cranky, and the parents come down on him hard, or they just say, look, I'm busy right now. And they slam the door and they go into their office, or, something like that. Or the parent is depressed and can't get out of bed, and little 4-year-old Tom is going, will you please love me? And I'm grumpy because no one's paying attention to me. And the parent is just rolls over and falls asleep or something like that. Or maybe more specifically to the way that he sees the world and the patterns he engaged in with both Kristen and Ariana and also with Raquel, that that his caregivers would say, look, you're stressing me out with your needs. I don't care if you're grumpy, or I don't care if you want attention from me, or I don't care what's going on with you because, oh my God. Or even the parent might not even be that hostile. They might just be like, the parent might be kind of on edge, and then the kid signals the way kids do, and the parent is just breaks into tears of just like, oh, because they're suffering, they're struggling for something. Obviously there's a lot of possibilities, and I have no idea. I could be completely off the mark, but that would also result in the passive-aggressive, passive pleaser personality issue that I've been hypothesizing, that you try to voice things, you try to get your needs met, and it gets shut down, and you feel like your needs are now other people's problems. And so then later in life, you have needs and you have an impulse to voice that, or to get them met, or to confront or something. And you immediately displace your parent onto your partner, and you say, well, but I surely can't voice it because it's going to cause more problems for them, and then it's my fault, and then I'm going to be ashamed of myself. So what do I do with that? And then you see it that way. You might even pick partners who have tendencies in that direction, right? And then what can happen through projective identification, you can even socialize subconsciously the other person to even have those reactions to you. And I won't go down that road because I've been speculating so much at this point. So I wonder if that's the trauma, because I wouldn't be surprised if it was something like that, given the pattern and the distortions that he seemingly has.
When Jax and Kristen, when that stuff came out, why didn't you guys break up then? And he said some things to me back then that were along the lines of, well, her grandpa died, and then we had tickets to this, and we had tickets to that, and so I couldn't. And now it's just kind of funny how a lot of the same things are being said and done.
And or it could just be making excuses, the way that she's describing it, of just like, there's always an excuse, there's always a justification for avoiding. Another possibility is that, or even related, is that Tom Sandoval grew up with an alcoholic parent who would always make excuses and justifications. The dad comes home the next day having a binge drinking bender, and there's conflict in the family, and little Tom is watching this, and mom's angry at dad, and dad's angry at mom, and his loyalties are being split, and he's like, what's happening? But he doesn't see dad very often, so he tends to prefer him because he can't really hold on to his anger for his dad because he doesn't want to confront him because he worries that he will lose his dad if he pushes back. So he's sort of all good's his dad, and he all bad's mom because he knows mom will never leave him. And then, yeah, I'm speculating, of course, on a lot of these, on everything. But then the dad will say things like, well, I was only drinking because you're always depressed, or I'm only drinking because this thing happened at work, or, just justification. And then little Tom is absorbing this and watching it, and it skews your morality and your sense of what you're supposed to do in a situation, away from the norm. And also you start to tell yourself that those justifications are justified because you're desperate for believing that your dad is good, because you don't want to believe that your dad is bad, because if you believe your dad is bad, then you're truly lost in the wilderness, because children, they need to believe that their parents are good, not just good, but all-powerful and all-knowing and all tolerant, and just especially when they're really young. That's what makes children feel safe, is when they believe that their parents have that, and it's developmentally normal. And then throughout your life, you just slowly realize none of that is true, and your parents are just regular human beings, which is always, at the age of 52, I'm still shedding that early perspective of my parents. Anyway, so that could be another road to what we see here, and also just seeing denial, and then denial in the family. And also seeing the result of not being in denial and not justification, that it might completely blow up the family, massive amounts of conflict. And so you just learn, you stuff, you hide, you deny, you justify, and you just keep going down the road.
Fucking see you. I get it. We weren't happy. We were stagnant. We were fucking acting like roommates.
We also hadn't had sex in 3 months. You also cringed every time I...
Yeah, kudos on the show. It's just sort of like the cuties moment with Love Is Blind, to highlight, because undoubtedly they had just thousands of hours of footage they could have highlighted in this moment. And to highlight this is eerie, the similarities, right?
Behind your back.
The relationship, it wasn't the same, Ariana.
That's why you go to couples therapy together. And we could have.
We would be separated all the time. You go your way, I go my way. We had no sex life. I lost all my mojo.
So fuck my friend.
The thing that makes...
Yeah, it's all possibly accurate, or at least accurate enough, justified enough. The complaints about the marriage, the complaints about Ariana, the decline of your affection or love or sense of closeness and connection, all that is fine. Unrelated to him making a choice to willingly harm Ariana and willingly just bald-faced, straight-up lie to Ariana and other people by omission, and also actively lying. Unrelated.
So fuck my friend then. Get your mojo back. Fuck my friend.
Sandoval, you've been saying that you started cheating on Ariana because of how bad things were in the relationship. But Miami Girl was so early in your relationship.
We had sex.
No, we did not.
Sex.
No, we did not.
Yes, we did. You're such a fucking liar right now.
They call her Miami Girl? Okay, so it sounds like this was infidelity. And yeah, so it's a good question to ask. Let's see what Tom says. I can't imagine Tom giving a satisfying answer. I'm guessing that Tom will say, well, the problems have been around for a long time, something like that.
Shut the fuck up.
No,
because
I'm
you're
sorry.
lying.
You shut the fuck up.
You
Nobody's
shut the
gonna
fuck
tell
up.
my boyfriend to shut the fuck up.
So how do you explain that?
I don't know. I just hadn't really felt like single in like 5 years, so I just like kind of wanted to feel that before like getting real serious.
Yeah, and that could be, doesn't justify it, does not justify it, but that could be. The way Tom talks and how he shoots himself in the foot by, I think, being honest, I think shows that this is a genuine answer. I mean, this is the best he can do in terms of self-awareness, and that is what he should say is, look, this doesn't justify it. It's complete. There's something wrong with me. But I think what was happening for me was this, something like that. But given his issues, he can't say that caveat. And he says what he's saying. And yeah, I can see that. And that's, again, it's not a justification, but I've seen that before where people will not take enough time to have that experience of if they want it. Not everyone wants it. Not everyone thrives in that. But there's some need that gets met when you allow yourself, if you want, to casually date and casually have sex, to experience more people, to have the freedom to, you're upfront with people. You're like, look, I'm not looking for anything. I might even just be looking for an extremely temporary thing, like a week kind of a thing or a night. So full disclosure, you certainly don't have to continue with me if that's not what you're looking for. But I just want to be clear that that's what I'm looking for. A lot of people would be like, 2 thumbs up, let's go. That's exactly what I'm looking for. So, there's some need there for some people. Also, another factor could be that given his, and I think this is probably the case, that he is not fully aware, given his traumas, of who he is and what he needs, and he will haphazardly drift from one situation to another without actually sitting down and saying, okay, what do I want? There's probably some conflicting needs in my life right now. I mean, certainly that's the case with Ariana and Raquel, that he shows evidence of that with Ariana and Kristen, and now with Miami Girl, that, you would sit down and say, okay, you know what? Because they don't usually just happen out of nowhere. Even going back to Miami Girl, that he would say, oh, you know what? I'm finding myself kind of flirting a little bit or having fantasies of being with other women. So what's going on? Maybe I didn't get enough single time and I'm kind of craving that. I'm kind of craving that freedom. I'm like upset at myself that I just went straight from Kristen to Ariana. It's kind of a bummer. I'm at the peak of my life, and there's a lot of women that are out there, and I always kind of wanted that. And so, but I really love Ariana. I want to be with her, but I'm not really, so what should I do? That exploration. Maybe there's something that could happen there. Maybe even talking to Ariana and saying, like, do you want to maybe do an open relationship or something? Is that, are you having these feelings, or breaking up, or figuring out a way to manage, or out a way to meet those needs in another way? Like maybe it's just having friends and not being romantic with other people. Maybe it's just having other kinds of experiences or something, a variety of experiences, or I don't know. Yeah, who knows? But you explore, you get to know, and the foundation of all that is that you know who you are and you notice your needs and you value them and you have enough self-awareness and enough self-reflection to even notice those things. And so for a lot of people, they will be early in a relationship and a part of them absolutely wants to be committed and exclusive with their partner, but there's another part of them that doesn't. And they, the way that we see this from the outside is, they're a creep or they're a cheater or a psychopath or a narcissist or something. But, those two things can exist within one person. And if you lack awareness and you drink a lot, one thing leads to another, and that other part of you will assert itself because you have no system in place of acknowledging it or listening to it or expressing it or something. And so you'll have this slip up, and I think that might be what he's talking about.
Ariana, you knew about Miami Girl. Mm-hmm. Was there any other infidelities you knew about in the past?
Miami Girl.
Why were you willing to forgive Tom for that?
We were not serious. We were not really exclusive at that time. And I saw the rest of my life with this person, and I wanted everyone to see the best in him.
Okay, well then, at least in my cultural pocket, we wouldn't call that cheating. We would call that, just being with someone. Now, maybe it was understood, well, if they're not exclusive, I mean, at least I'm guessing they're from a similar cultural pocket, that if you're not exclusive, then then that's the definition of that you can date and have sex with other people, right?
During that time, I mean, Kristen was on like a.
No one cares about.
No
We're
one
not talking
gives a
about
flying
Kristen.
shit
We're
about
talking
8
about
years
us.
ago.
Get over it.
You loser.
Then why are you bringing it up?
Okay, well, I
We're
brought
not.
it
I'm
up.
talking about something
He's
that just
asking about
happened.
me and you, not
We're
Kristen.
bringing it up because
Kristen was
you
like
haven't
on a
changed.
rampage.
Yeah, I get the pushback because to have these conversations, to talk about these topics, implies somehow that Tom Sandoval is not to blame, and it plays into Tom's justifications, his false justifications.
Okay, so when you're not that serious, then you don't fuck the best friend. But when you're in a committed relationship, then we fuck the best friend.
Yeah, there you go.
And I wouldn't be surprised if we had the magical ability to see this play out over time with Raquel from above and know what's going on inside everyone's mind, that for Tom, given the way that I'm hypothesizing his personality is, that he had all these needs that weren't being met, and Raquel was just a person of opportunity, and maybe even Ariana was a person of opportunity when he was with Kristen, that, because they keep highlighting that it's her friend, right, and his friend. And it kind of points in that direction of like, if he were truly some Machiavellian, narcissistic cheater, psychopathic cheater, he would cheat with someone outside of their circle because that would be the smart move, right? But I think he's not that, and what he is someone that is so vastly unaware of his needs and also been modeled that it's okay to justify that or something, that he just has this wide open door in his personality just waiting for someone to walk past it, and those people will be friends, will be people that are just in his life. I know people like this where the primary object of their crushes and of their fantasies and of their cheating infidelity energy are people that are dangerously close to their life and to their partner. And the further you get away from that inner circle of connections and colleagues and friends and family members, the chance of this individual having any attraction to those people just completely plummet, right? Also, there's kind of a self-destructive nature to it, of if you believe you're worthless, if you believe you deserve to be attacked, and you subconsciously are setting up your life so that that will happen because you've surrendered to that idea, then nothing will incur the wrath of everyone around you than if you choose to self-destruct in this way, right?
This is a group of cheaters. No one in this group has clean hands. So, I mean, look, you're all prepared.
All right, well, that does it for that episode, everyone. Please, really, take care of yourself and take care of others because we all deserve it. We all really, really do.